Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Man of Thought, aka the Black Panther of Nigeria, aka the Villain of Truth. If you don't know about this individual who you're about to listen to, it's definitely because you have been on the wrong side of social media. Well, my name is Mola, and my YouTube channel is most likely to just give people the right information and to talk about the things that are happening in society, consequences, exposing fraudulent organization, and talking about the things that a lot of people are not aware of. So what does that mean? It simply means if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you better do because this person is definitely always going to be giving you the facts and the best information that you can ever think about. Because at the end of the day, I know I am one of the people who put a lot of thought in what I have to do. With that being said, today's conversation is going to be with our young ladies. So, young ladies who haven't subscribed to my channel, you are invited and you're welcome to the Man of Thought. I want to be having a good conversation with you guys. And what is the subject all about? The subject for today is mostly about how women put themselves in situation and online way of demoralizing women. And young ladies today are not paying attention to the reality of what is actually going on in the society. So my intentions today is to debunk to young ladies how they can get away from certain things that they are ignorant of. One of the things that we can always agree on is today, in today's world, there's a lot of situation when it comes to the aspect of marriage, when it comes to the aspect of relationship. Some women, ladies, have put it upon themselves to say that, oh, I am okay as a lady as much as I am successful, as long as I am wealthy, as long as I'm doing fine. I do not necessarily have to commit myself to any man. But at the end of the day, when you really look at it, a lot of women are actually complaining there is no good men out there. How often do you hear men make such a complaint? It's rare for men to complain there are no good women out there. The only thing men do is they just smash. They just say, don't take these women serious. That's what men says. And the reason is simply because society has told women that you can do a lot without a man. In fact, what a man can do, a woman can do better. But there are certain things that I understand that as young ladies, you most likely will be ignorant of. And so, because you are ignorant of all these things, you mostly think that because you are beautiful, because the world pay attention to you, because most men are calling you, then that means that's how it's going to be for life. Yesterday, I was actually watching an episode where a lady was complaining about her friend who was 39 years old and was dating a man for about 6 years. And the man later made a decision he wasn't going to marry her, and the lady was feeling so bad about it. I'm like, you should have seen this coming already. But I want to talk about certain things that most of our young ladies are doing in social media space today that is actually affecting them. One of it I'll be talking about is the psychological effect of online demoralization of women. Number two, I'm going to be talking about the role of social media algorithms on the idea of young ladies and, how they expose you all for a lot of ladies who actually think of certain things of being famous. I want to be exposing certain things to you. Thirdly, we are going to be talking about the cultural and the society influence and how society portrays women influence the need for online validation. I'm going to be talking on the fourth one is going to be impact of self-esteem and identity. The fifth one is going to be the safety and privacy um, like call it concerns of women who put themselves out to the public. And the sixth is going to be strategies for positive online presence. And seven is going to be the future of social media and women's empowerment. So trust me, in the standpoint at which I speak from, I am not saying anything because I want to date you. I'm not saying this because I want most women to fall in love with me. I just want to tell you how you can be safe in today's society while you put yourself out in the public. Now, before we dive deep into all these things that I have made decision to talk about, I want most women to be aware that if you look today on social media, let's talk first on the realities of what is going on. Reality has been that there are a lot of women who are seeking for men and have not been able to find a stable man. And one of the things that goes on with the hearts of men, most times men do not speak out simply because we are used to this type of lifestyle. You know, for you to be a man up, that simply means you need to stop complaining. And some of us interpret that like stop complaining about anything. So most times when we even see women doing certain things on social media, when we are going through a lot of challenges, we don't think of talking about those things. We just want to handle situations differently. And a lot of women are experiencing the aspect that men are not so much interested in having relationship with them, but a lot of them do not understand the reasons behind it. They think men are just pulling out. Most of them are not so much aware that men are actually pulling out because there are certain things that is changing in the social media space that is actually making men act in a strange way, and they don't want to be committed in relationship. With that being said, if you are observant on what is going on the social media space, you would agree with me totally that most podcasts or most social media presence or social media influencers, such as Egungun and Fresh and Fit, and a lot of whatever podcast, these people kind of bring certain kinds of lady to their episodes or to their podcast just to say negative things about those women, just to be able to demoralize those women, just to say negative things that can impact them. But a lot of them think that whenever they are being brought to the social media front is basically because they want to be influential, they want to be able to last long, they want the world to know them. And the idea of being a celebrity has gone into the heads of a lot of people that they do not even understand the impact and how it's actually affecting them. These are the things that we are going to be talking about today. So if you're just joining me, please do subscribe to my channel, like and share. I would appreciate that as it helps the algorithm so we can shift the mindset of ladies and those of you who have the interest to be with a man to have a long lasting relationship. You would know how to navigate this particular time that we live in. Now, let's start with the subject. On the first one is that what is the psychological effect of online demoralization? How constant criticism affect a woman's mental health? Now, when women decide to go into a podcast, or you see some men who carry mics on their mouth and they just come to you and they interview you and they start asking you certain questions like, we want to ask you a few questions, and you're like, okay, what is the question about? And then they start asking you different things about sexuality, man, how many men have you slept with, what do you need to be for, or what do you need from a man, turn around, let us see you 360-degree. And a lot of you, just because you find yourself on camera, you are you feel like for you to be nice, you have to adhere to what that interviewer is saying. Sometimes they ask you silly questions. Those questions are things that can most likely ruin a lot of people's life, but most ladies are not aware of it. You are just being captivated at the fact that camera is being pointed at you and you most likely will be showing on social media. And because you think of that, you most likely think that, oh, let me do everything possible to make sure that I did not put a bad image on myself. So that means I have to listen to everything that this interviewer is asking me. So they ask you, how many men have you slept with? In fact, a lot of you have been with your boyfriends and you never told your boyfriend how many boyfriends you have in the past. But then when an interviewer asks you, before they say Jack Robinson, you open your mouth and you say 22. In fact, some of you so much exaggerate and they ask some of you, you actually have had maybe 10 boys in your life, or you have slept with 5 guys, and those 5 guys probably have 4 inches, 3 inches, 2 inches, 1 inches of penile. And because when the interviewer is asking you, they ask you a question and they say, how many inches should a guy have? Because you want to sound good, because you want to sound like you are one thing or the other, you say you like a guy with 10 inches. Now, the question is, do your guy have it? Now, secondly, is that how does the question impact your life positively? How does the question show a good image of you? A lot of you don't think about that. In fact, they will tell you that, do you know this person? They show you Wizkid. You say, yes, I know this is Wizkid. And then they show you a guy that has been doing some kind of things differently in other kinds of sexual content video. And then you start smiling, like hyena, like monkeys that lick lime. In that way, you expose yourself to the world. Because trust me, most of these things that you show to the world, they go very viral. How many of you can remember a lot of statements that the president of the United States, or the president of the UK, or the president like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris and the rest of it, how many of you even pay attention to what they say? But trust me, when you say certain things out of your mouth, as what do they call it? Ninja boy carry you. That's how celebrity gist will carry you. That's how Tunde Ednut will carry you. That's how all kinds of social media will carry you, because they know these are the things that men and women, or mostly men, wants to hear about women. And most times, a lot of you do not understand that the idea behind that question is to bring negative, is to demoralize you. Most men would not ask you these questions, or interviewers will not ask you this question to uplift your spirit. They are not saying it so that guys would want to get married to you, or a guy will want to. Let us even leave the idea of marriage, because some of you want to pretend like you don't want to be married. It's simply because you're still in your 20s. When you start getting to your 30s and your 40s, then your brain begins to work. And then you would realize that what has been on the social media is still going to be there 30 years, 40 years from now. In fact, there are a lot of people who have tried to delete certain things that have been posted about them on social media. You are just going to be so surprised that it doesn't go away. Somebody else will post it and it's going to spread. You want to do wedding, somebody will look at it and say, oh, I know that particular girl. It seems I've seen her on Instagram. It seems I've seen her on Twitter. It seems I've seen her on YouTube. And then they are going to bring it again. And let me ask you, psychologically, everyone knows it's going to have effect on you. If you like, you pretend that you have bulletproof on your body, and regardless of whatever anybody says, it's not going to do anything to you. But if you even think you are unpenetratable, then the question is this: do you think that the same guy who is dating you, do you think is also bulletproof as you? If you say that a guy who wants to date me would have known about my past, he shouldn't care about my past, he should care about your future. That's a lie. Men, we do not operate on that level. We care about your past as we care about the present. Now, as a woman, when you decide to stay with a man, you most likely are interested in the future of the man. As a man, we most likely are interested in your past, because your past determines if we have integrity in having relationship with you. One of the pride of a man after having material success is the kind of woman he has by his side. In fact, the woman you have by your side as a man is more important than the material success you have, because the world is going to honor you by the kind of woman you have. Regardless of the fact that Barack Obama, for example, the world has a lot of things to say about this particular individual, but his wife, Michelle Obama, the world still respects her. Even if they want to demoralize her, they don't have much things to say about this individual, because she's a respectable lady. She's someone who knows what she's doing, and she's someone who has not tarnished her image. That still gives Barack Obama the kind of respect that it needs in the field of politics. I wouldn't ever be surprised if Barack Obama makes a decision to come back. Let us ask ourselves a question also, as the Africans people, Nigeria per se. What about this man we call Goodluck Jonathan? Everybody respect Goodluck Jonathan and say, oh, he's too gentle, he's too quiet, and the rest of it. But one of the things that people really find shameful about the times of President Goodluck Jonathan was the way his wife was portraying herself in the media. Do you imagine that this man had a lady who is more classical, like maybe some people's first lady and the rest of it? The word respect. In fact, during the time of Obasanjo being the president of Nigeria, do you see how it breaks the world of every Nigeria when he lost his wife, Stella Obasanjo? Why? Because this particular lady had dignity, has integrity, was a respectful woman in the society. The respect we give to Obasanjo is most likely attached to the respect people have actually put on his wife, Stella Obasanjo. But a lot of ladies in today's world, you think the other way around. You think whatever your past is, no one should give a damn about it. We do give a damn. You cannot remove that part from a man's life. The moment you ask a man not to give a damn about your past, then what you're actually saying is you want to convert that man not to be the kind of man he's supposed to be. Thank you very much, Miss D. Thank you for joining me live. So that is the food for thought for the young ladies out there. So while you're going on social media and you're making the decision that you want to talk about a lot of things and you want to put yourself out there and you want to elevate yourself so the world would know you, I want you to also understand that there is a psychological effect to most of the things you do. And just because you feel the kind of energy you feel during the time you're having the interview, don't think that you're still going to have that same energy after the interview. Because most times, a lot of people just say these things basically because of how they feel at the moment. And after the interview, and the world begin to lay certain kind of negative comments about that lady, and some of them will say, "This is the reason why you don't trust women. This is the reason why this lady is this." A lot of people are going to say negative things about you, regardless of the fact that even if social media tries to remove certain comments, we know how to mess with the algorithm. That means people are going to even put it in a way whereby you know what they mean, regardless of the fact that they don't even write it in the spelling that the algorithm is going to remove it. And so it affects your relationship with the current person you're meeting. It affects your relationship with the possible person that you're going to meet in the future. It affects the relationship, perhaps let us say maybe your parents, your sisters, or something like that. If they see that part of you, your mom and your dad, if perhaps they have anything about moral ethics, then they start asking themselves, is there anything we have done wrong to have given birth to a daughter who embarrasses us right now online? Where have we made mistakes? And then you're going to be there's a psychological effect, not just on you, on the person who you are with, on the person who you are possibly going to be with, on your family as a whole. Now, trust me, some of you would say, oh, my father knows I am into this and that, and my father applauds me for whatever I do. Trust me, if your father was wealthy, if your father was useful in the society, if your father had a little bit of dignity and honor, no one's father would be so interested to see his daughter come out in the public and mess his name up just because of clout. It's most likely because your dad is broke. It's most likely because your father has no dignity. It's most likely because your dad is hungry and you are the only one that can give him food. And that's the only reason why he's clapping for you. Trust me, if it goes the other way around and he's doing well in his life, he wouldn't applaud you for that kind of habit. So it affects you psychologically. There is a lady called Saida Boj. A lot of you would have known this particular individual. Saida Boj will come out, and all she says every single time is, "This lady, if a man has to talk to me, he has to give me 500,000. Before you ask me to come to your place, you have to give me 5 million," and all this kind of stuff. Please, I want to ask you, how long did Saida Boj? This year we started hearing about Saida Boj. Where is Saida Boj? She has been quiet. She has been quiet simply because she don't have anyone to insult right now. Yes, we see her father maybe is traveling out of the country and the rest of it, but no one ever gives honor to the father because of the act of the daughter. In fact, a lot of people will question the father, like, how do you raise such a daughter? Maybe it shows your kind of lifestyle. You most likely are not responsible. That is the reason why you have the kind of daughters you have. Now, maybe the world would not say it to him, but I bet you any day he says something that the world does not agree with, that's where they will go to. Simple as ABC. If we don't have any way to penetrate you, to insult you, then we are going to go through your daughter. Which man really love anyone insulting him through his daughter or through his children? For men, most likely, who gives a damn about anything? If it is a son, a lot of people will say, as long as my son is successful, he is a man. But when it comes to daughter, I do not care how we decide to try to manipulate the system. There's a way men we view women. And because of that ways at which we use in viewing women, we want to preserve them. In fact, we believe that a woman who is being preserved is the woman who would be honored and a woman who we should respect. That's as simple as ABC. But if you have been used and you say different things online, some of you, a lot of you have known how to play your games and no one knows anything about your life, and you have known how to mingle life, do all the things you want to do, and nobody gives a damn about what you're doing. But when you now bring it to the social media platform, then it becomes a different subject. And psychologically, the effect is not just going to be on you, but the effect is also going to be on the person who you're going to date and most likely your family. So let that get into your brain. Then the second thing we need to ask ourselves is, what is the role of social media algorithm? When I say algorithm or algorithm, actually talking about the social media itself. Now, trust me, like I said earlier, that social media tries to promote certain things. And in my estimation, I think there's a psychological war that is going between nations and nations. This is just me speaking. You don't have to take my words serious, but you just have to think about it and see maybe I am making some sense. I think that Japan, Chinese, Korea, and all this other country, India, for example, Indians would not allow you to kiss any lady in their video, or else they are going to ban your video. In fact, you will go to jail just for kissing. Nigeria, we are now doing everything. Anything. We are doing it. You see, few years ago, there is a way the world sees the Americans and the UK, for example. They see them absolutely just for the hero part of it. That means they save nations, they want the best for nations, they care about nations. That's what the narration about America, that's what it stood for. Until it gets to the part where people begin to talk about the libertarian and the conservative and the rest of it. And then they brought in the alphabetical people. From the alphabetical people due to Barack Obama, from the days of Barack Obama, the kingdom of the United States has been different. And if they have to fix it by Donald Trump, they have to take it by force. Why? Alphabetical orders. Ever since the alphabetical orders, the narration about being in the Western culture has become a little bit different. The narration of how people see the Western people is a little bit different. Will I even say a little bit? I'm trying to be fair in the way I put it. Now, maybe most of them are not the way that this thing actually appear on social media, but we would say that the algorithm actually reinforce the idea that these people are like this. And what they are trying to do, just me speaking, don't take me too serious, but think about what I'm saying. For me, the way I view it is like they they paint and they go, there's something Elon Musk discovered after I bought Twitter, that there's a lot of bots, there's a lot of robots or bots in the Twitter space, and if it is there, then it's most likely will be on Instagram. In fact, Joe Rogan, which is one of the highest podcasters, said something that whenever I post something online, the next thing you begin to see is that a lot of things begin to pop up in the chat, and they want to say, oh, this guy, this. And he says most of them are bots, they are not people. So it seems as if, in which they've already also agreed to the fact that maybe Russian or certain countries are infiltrating into their technical groups or their social media platform to narrate something about them. When you go into the TikTok account of most or TikTok of Chinese, you can change the IP address that you have and change it to China and go into their TikTok and see what their TikTok talks about. It talks about how they are creating chairs, furnitures, how the children are creating phones, gadgets, all kinds of computer programming and the rest of it. Go to the aspect of the Western people and see what they promote. It's most likely promoting thoughts, ladies with unserious people, alphabetical kind of people. And right now, the only grace with the United States, in the way I view it, is like there's nothing much they can do about the situation. And the reason is this: when you begin to mess with society and you begin to mess with family, you most likely, if you don't quickly fix that particular part of you, and get me right, the narration that they put about you. And now it is the narration they are putting about the social media space on the Western people, that this is who they are, and the world is like, we want to sit back and just watch. I would even tell you that the world is actually sitting back to just watch what is going on in the Western culture. Yes, I understand for the fact that most of our black women here are trying to imitate people over there. Fine. But I think that when we look at it to a certain degree, a lot of us are also watching to see. And it is because of the narration that is being publicized about them. Now, where am I actually going with this? Anything they can do to destroy the narration of your people, and they publicize it not just to the people in that nation, but they publicize it so it can get to the children, and the children see that this is the right way to do, and then the children begin to participate in that act simply because you think that turning around, dressing in a weird way, putting on wig of 1 million naira on your head, why you don't have a land, why you don't have a car, why you don't have any property to even show for, but you can wear 20 million wig on your hair and hold one yeye kaki just because of Instagram, just because you want to show the world that you're what, you've arrived or something like that. This shows the mentality of a lot of people. And when you look at the social media platform, they are doing this. It's not just going to trickle to you, it's going to trickle to your junior ones. A lot of us are living life and we are like, just because we haven't gotten it right, we are just like, it is a free world, let other people live life that way. If you care about your society, if you care about your culture, if you care about your the next generation, do you think that your attitude, if everyone implements that same type of attitude, do you think that the next generation will be sustainable? How corrupt do you think they will be? If you do not understand this illustration, look at our government, how they've been acting, and look at how our youth are now acting. because the elders fail us. And the best thing we can do is to change the narration. But now we are supporting the narration. So while you are on social media and you're saying some kind of negative things, and you're going to podcasts where they begin to ask you, how many guys have you dated? What kind of, how much is the guy giving you? Is your man high level man? Is it high level, or what do they call it? High, high influential, or hierarchy, or high something. And then you start lying because you're trying to prove yourself. You start lying. And then they ask you a question, how many inches? And then you say 20 inches. High value, thank you very much. High value man. And then they say, how many inches? Even when your guy actually have 4 inches. And then you say 20 inches. And then your guy is like, wow, maybe I'm not supposed to be in this relationship. In fact, here's one thing about men. When a lady says something that is kind of degrading to us, because this is it. The way we men handle respect is not just the respect that a woman gives to us. Your respect that you give to us, it matters to us, but to a certain degree, it doesn't necessarily so much matter. What actually matters to us in respect is the respect that other guys give to us. So we are using you to gain that honor in society. Now, if our woman does not have the honor that other men are going to respect her, and the only way other men can respect her is for the fact that they can't easily get a woman like us, we would value that. And that is how the respect goes on. You see, we can clap for a guy who has money and who is able to have 20 girls and 50 girls. Yes, we will clap for you, but we really don't give you respect. We just think that you have done well for yourself. That honor is not for the ladies. That honor is not that you have fixed your life. That honor is that you have been able to outgrow suffering. You have been able to, make something for yourself. But when it comes to the aspect of family, it matters a lot to us. If your family is a whack family due to the kind of woman you choose, we all don't give a damn about what you say. We all don't give a damn about all the money you have. We are going to bring you down. That's the reality. That's the bottom line. So this is the reason why when you go to the podcast and you say negative things and you say 20 inches, 30 inches and the rest of it, and your guy probably has 4 inches, here's what the guy is going to do. I'm going to tell you exactly how men think. You just think about this. Maybe I should take about 3 months to have everything I can have with this lady right now. And if I can do that, I want to remove everything in my system so that when I step away from this lady, I wouldn't miss something that I haven't done to her. And so trust me, some of you who go to social media to say negative things about yourself and your guy is able to see it, you might observe that during that time, it looks as if you guys are more closer. And you say, don't care. You try to convince him. He's going to pretend like he don't care. But he might ask himself, how many times have I been with this lady? How many times have I actually used her? But this is the way she thinks. I know I can satisfy her. What can I do in my life to make sure that I do every single thing that I do not care about her once I step away? And then you are going to see the thing happen over and over and again. That's how you see everywhere. He will do it, and after 3 months, you are going to see the new character. Why? When a man do not trust you, he wouldn't tell you that he no more trusts you. When a man has seen you disgracing publicly, if that is the reason, if it is that made him come in the first place, and you cannot convince him that there's something more valuable than in your relationship, then he would just say, let me take this moment to do all the, and then I move away. It's as simple. Any guy who thinks that I'm lying should write. Any guy who says I am not saying the truth should object, and let's debate. I promise you, I am telling you 1,000,000% truth. Lobaton. Now let's move to the next one. Social media, I've talked about social media also. The third one is about the cultural societal society influences. Now, one of the things that I think most ladies do not pay attention to is that when you are sending bad, negative stories or narration about your life, you do not understand that subconsciously it goes into the life of other children, other people. There's a reason why they say you should dress responsible. You can't go to Dubai and not dress responsible. I can tell you this for a fact. If Dubai, for example, allow women to dress anyhow, act anyhow, despite every investment that Dubai have, Dubai will fall and crumble. They honor, even psychologically, when you think of Dubai, what do you think? You think of the beautiful places and then you think of the discipline on how the culture is being set up. That means if I have to go to Dubai, even if I tend to be a slut, if I tend to be an ash, I still have to make sure that I dress properly when I'm moving around. And because of that, going to Dubai already has an honor, not because of the beautiful place only, but because it is a place for certain honorable and respectable people. And honor and respect comes psychologically through how people portray themselves. They say the first time when people see you, they get impressed by how they see you. So you should understand that how you present yourself to the world actually matters. A lot of you, just because you want to be so sexually enticing to a lot of men, you dress anyhow and you think the world is supposed to clap for you and you think you are not having any effect on the young ones. You are bringing degeneracy to your nation and to your society and to your culture at large. You don't necessarily have to agree with me. You just necessarily have to think about it. If you think that your life is just your life and it has nothing to do by affecting other people's life, then that means you really don't know what kind of life you are actually living. And that means you haven't even known anything about life first. And this is the ignorance of most young black women, ladies in Africa, in the black community, in Nigeria. Maybe I just use it in Nigeria specifically. But that's the reality. Then I go to the fourth one. It says impact of self-esteem and identity. Now, let me put it this way. On the aspect of the impact of self-esteem and identity, a lot of women that I know that goes into stuff like this, they try to, because the world called them a particular name that they don't appreciate, a lot of them try to say, okay, I identify myself as this, as long as it's bringing success and wealth to me. Or should I take me back to certain conversations? I don't know, but I have to think about what I'm about to say. In a sense that I use the word men love what they hate. Now, if you identify yourself as a woman and you say, I am a slut or whatever, it's a great identity for you because it brings food on your table. But it's not an identity that anyone would want to respect you or honor you for. And I know that when I talk about the respect and the honor, a lot of people are just like, oh, as much as I'm doing fine, who gives a damn about respect and honor? Well, it's simply because you are still very young. You're still a very young lady and you do not understand the life you're living. And I would say it is because of the absence of parents. It is the absence of your parents not telling you the importance of dignity and honor in the society or in your life, and to let you even understand that all these material things, all of them don't really mean a lot. Can you feed? Can you take good care of yourself? Can you live a good life? Once you have gotten to that stage in life, every other thing is just extra. But the question is that if you think that competing on social media, trust me, someone is going to come along the line that is going to kick you off social media. I do not care how beautiful you are. Was there not a time people were screaming in Nigeria, Omotola and Genevieve? When last did you hear about Omotola and Genevieve? Who gives a damn about Omotola and Genevieve? These are one of the most beautiful actresses in Nigerian Nollywood. But their time has gone. Now, people, Omotola is married, Omotola has children, Omotola is doing fine because she did not portray herself to be the kind of person Genevieve portrayed herself to be. Now, let us put it in this concept. There are many people who would tell me places that they've met Omotola Genevieve or Genevieve herself, not Omotola. Genevieve, during the time when she was acting, and maybe she does, I don't know, but when Genevieve used to act and she was still very influential in Nigerian Nollywood, at those times they would tell us, oh, they meet her in Satellite Town, they saw her with white people, they saw white people carrying her on sheep, and she's always staying close to a beach. Let's just say those are rumors, but a lot of people say it. And if more than 20, 50, 30, 100 people are saying the same thing, not quite long, she's proving them right. As she dates this, then she dates this, then she dates this, then she dates D'banj. And D'banj used her story to even sing Oliver Twist. And the moment D'banj was the person who she dated and he sang Oliver Twist, I knew it would be difficult for Genevieve to get married. Now, what is today like for Genevieve and what is today like for Omotola Jalade? When Genevieve speaks right now on Twitter, on Instagram, on anything, everyone jump on her and they try to demonize her. No matter the value of her statement, what she has done in the past is what people brings to her presence. It's as simple as ABC because that's the reality of life. Genevieve cannot be a voice to correct any young person in the society. She has lost that privilege during the time she was there. Yes, she's lucky she had one daughter, but after that daughter, who wants to get married to her? I might say Rihanna was lucky. Rihanna was lucky because Rihanna was able to do a lot of things. And let's not go into that because I don't know much information. But based off what they put on the social media stuff, I can speak on that and I can say, this is what happens, this is what happened. It's up Rocky. Rihanna. I don't want to go into that conversation. But a lot of you can actually do a lot of digging on that, who Rihanna was and the rest of it. The only grace that Rihanna has is just because she's just so beautiful, so good in the talented way and the rest of it. But I would say this, when we look at it very carefully, when you put Beyonce and you put Rihanna, if not because Jay-Z's kind of issue, Beyonce kind of beat Rihanna in certain areas, many areas. People love Rihanna simply because of certain reasons. And in fact, most of the things people say about Rihanna and the rest of it, most of it doesn't have much evidence. Unlike, what do they call her name? Who else? Unlike, I don't no, not Cardi B. There's this girl now. I've even forgotten her name. This girl is still going to go down very soon. Let me not even go into that particular subject. But what I'm actually saying is that it affects your identity at some point. And once people see you for what you portray yourself to be, at the end of the day, that's how we are going to take you. And you have everything that comes your way that way. The other one is strategies for positive and online presence. I think if I am going to give any advice to ladies who have ears to listen to whatever I have to say, you have to understand that whatever does not add to your value, not just now, but to the future, you ain't supposed to put yourself on social media just to talk for talking's sake. Before I came on live right now, there was a lady who said she talked about something about her school and she's already in 300 level and she just have 1 year to go. And the school banned her because she said certain things online and she wasn't necessarily speaking to the school, but she was in the school premises when she makes certain statement and blah 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 on Instagram. And now they banned her from coming to the school for 1 year, and after 1 year, now she came to explain herself online. Trust me, I do not have more details on what she said. But if a school, she said, according to her, I might be paraphrasing that All the time she has been in the school, she never had any complaint, but she made a statement. So freedom of speech, everyone can assure you, but freedom after speech, no one can assure you. Even YouTube, we can't even say a lot of things. When we say a lot of things, YouTube would not pay us our money, and YouTube will just strap most of the things. That's the reality, and it happens on every other social media space. So you have to hold yourself accountable. Even you ask yourself a question: just because you have the liberty to do certain things, must you do everything you feel you can do? If we act according to our feelings, how many good do you think we will do, and how many destructive things do we think we are going to do? Majority of the time, I think if we go towards our feelings, many things will get destroyed, because sometimes you wake up in the morning and you feel like saying certain things, but you have to hold yourself back. And that is the sense in it. Knowing how to withhold yourself from saying certain things on social media, from going on way and not understanding that there's going to be an impact on whatever you have said, and people are going to identify you based off what you say, then you most likely will be having issues. Before I make a decision to come on social media to speak about the things that I think, I first of all articulate them in my brain. Now, I do not care if people like me or if people don't like me, but one thing I always want is that people would say that I had a thought about that particular subject. And people respect you based off the fact that you can even think about something before you say it, rather than saying something without thinking. And with that, I have the grace. For example, I made a video the other day when I talked about the UK protest and the rest of it. And a man wrote on my page, and he says, on my YouTube page, and he says, yes, I make a lot of sense with what I'm saying, but I do not have much information. So if I don't have much information on something, I shouldn't say something, certain things. A lot of people said I was making sense and I was saying the truth to the Nigerian people. But only he says that I was making sense. Even before he could say anything, he said I was making sense. So if I think just to say things just because how I feel, how many garbage do you think I would have said? Think about it, ladies. And let's talk lastly on the last one, the future of social media and women's empowerment. Now, the idea of women's empowerment, I think it's something that the society still fights on every single time. And the society is just trying to appraise women, to open their eyes to do this equality stuff and the rest of it. Now, you can only have equality in the workplace. You might have the idea of equality in marriage or in relationship, but there's no equality really in relationship or in marriage. And even perhaps, let us say there's equality, the question you are going to ask yourself is, one person has to need the relationship more than the other person. So for the fact that one person is more committed to the idea of relationship than the other person, then that should tell you something, that one person might most likely sacrifice than the other person. I can tell you for a fact, whenever two people meet in relationship, one person is always willing to step back. In every relationship, one person is always willing to step back until they both invest in the relationship to a particular extent. But I want to ask you a question. If you have negative things attached to your identity and you meet with a man, and that man has built himself up, because it takes a man a lot of things for them to even have a name, for them to even be recognized as human being on the surface of this earth. If a man has worked all his life and then he has a lady and everyone says negative things about the lady, why should he commit, and why should he have too many investments in the relationship? This is the thing that I decided to have the conversation with the people of Africa. Now that reminds me of something. There's there was a guy who tends to be a cross-dresser in Nigeria. He lives in Abuja. They call him Area Mama. Yesterday, he was being by people, and a lot of people said something. If you know you are into the alphabetical kind of people way of doing things, why would you bring it to Nigeria? And we are not even attacking you for bringing it to Nigeria. Why are you publicizing it everywhere and you are putting it in the eyes of everybody? And some people got angry by that, since they understand that the government does not support it. Now, How many autopsy do you think the government will want to invest themselves to know who has done those things to that particular individual? You ain't needed in the society, in our own society, and you brought yourself and you're trying to put it into the eyes. And some people are like, do you want to let our children to start experiencing things like those alphabetical people? Do you want us to start having colors of rainbow in Africa? And people said no. With that, they took the law into their hands. Who knows if the government isn't part of it? But that's to tell you that you have to think about the things you're doing. If you think there's no consequence for what you do, sorry, you have something else coming. If you agree with me, subscribe. If you do not agree with me, subscribe. If you agree with me, like and share. If you do not agree with me, join membership. That's what I have for you today. This is the Man of Truth, aka the Black Panther of Nigeria, aka the Villain of Truth. Have a blessed day. See you in my next video. Adios, amigos. Hoping to see you this night. Bye-bye.